Khuddaka Nikāya, the Minor Discourses, Therīgāthā, verses of the Arahant Bhikkhunis, Dukanipāta, the book of twin verses. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Therīgāthā 2.1 Abhirūpa Nandā Theri. Verses spoken by the Venerable Abhirūpa Nandā. Behold, and keep staring at this body, destined to never be truly pure nor clean, O Nanda. So look carefully at its filthy and dirty nature, and just see it for what it truly is. Develop your mind by bringing it into focus, making it utterly serene, while staying with the repulsive you perceive with tranquil understanding. Just keep examining it and remain closely looking at the body. Thus, resolutely meditate by concentrating on and staying with the signless, and by abandoning completely all tendencies of conceit from the heart, as you thoroughly recognize and directly see conceit for what it is and in all its variations, you'll surely come to rest in peace, fully quenched and calmed at last. These were the verses spoken by the Blessed One himself to the Venerable Abhirūpa Theri, when she was still a novice nun, verses she kept on repeating to herself often. Therīgāthā 2.2 Jentā Theri, verses spoken by the Venerable Jentā. Each of the 7 factors of awakening I have indeed developed to perfection. The factors that securely place one on the sure path to Nibbana, which I followed to the letter, as taught by the Buddha himself. That which the Blessed One himself saw, I too have directly seen and known now myself, personally. Hence, I declare, this body you see is the very last one for me to carry. So now, completely destroyed for me is rebirth in samsara, for there's absolutely no more becoming in any realm left for me. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Jentā Theri. Therīgāthā 2.3 Sumaṅgalamātā Theri, verses spoken by the Venerable Sumaṅgalamātā. Ah, finally I'm free, completely freed and absolutely released from it all, liberated at last from pounding that pestle, free also from that shameless of a man who called himself a husband, for I'm truly done, and for good, with the cooking of rice, along with having to satisfy his every need. I have now crushed both lust and hatred altogether. Like pieces of charcoal thrown into icy water, which now sizzle and hiss all the way to oblivion. So now, sitting all alone under a tree, alongside its massive roots, I meditate happily as I keep exclaiming now and again, "Oh, what bliss this truly is indeed." These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Sumaṅgalamātā Theri. Therīgāthā 2.4 Aḍḍhakāsi Theri. Verses spoken by the Venerable Aḍḍhakāsi. To spend a single night with me, the service fee clients had to pay me was that of the entire annual revenue of the kingdom of Kasi. So, to make my price more affordable for more than the select few, the elders of Kasi agreed to reduce my rate to half, but only for those clients who wanted to spend the day with me and not the night. On becoming disgusted by all things to do with form, I observed how the disenchantment I felt soon turned into dispassion, never again desiring any more births in samsara, or running around again and again. I was able to cut myself free, and even attained to the super knowledges 3. Thus, I fulfilled at last the Buddha's instructions to me. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Aḍḍhakāsi Theri. Therīgāthā 2.5 Cittā Theri. Verses spoken by the Venerable Cittā. Although being so frail and weak, truly indeed scrawny and feeble, yet I climb this mountain every day with no trouble at all, leaning as I do on my walking stick, laying down my outer robe as a support, while refusing to take food by turning my alms bowl upside down, until, that is, I too attained the unattained. I sat there full of trust, with my back to a solid rock, and single-handedly bludgeoned through the mountain of darkness that surrounded me all these eons, destroying the ignorance in my heart once and for all. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Cittā Theri. Therīgāthā 2.6 Mettikā Theri. Verses spoken by the Venerable Mettikā. Despite the pain I daily endure, being now so weak and fragile in frame, way past my prime and youth, I go on climbing this steep hill with no trouble at all, leaning on my trusty walking cane. Having laid down my outer robe as a support, and turned my alms bowl upside down, refusing to take any more food until freedom is finally attained, I sat in meditation with trust in the heart and my back to a solid rock. Now, attained by me are the three super knowledges indeed, for I can now finally declare, completed are the Buddha's instructions to me. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Mettikā Theri. Therīgāthā 2.7. Mittā Theri. Verses spoken by the Venerable Mittā. Observing the Uposatha, be it on the 14th, the 15th, and the 8th of the fortnight too, I became firmly established indeed on what it truly means to keep the 8 precepts in full. By practicing the Uposatha, the Devas and I keep rejoicing on seeing each other thus. So I eat only once on this day, with a cleanly shaven head and donning the outer robe, living without any longing or wishes left in me for any rebirth anywhere at all, for the heart is now totally freed from any fear or anxiety. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Mittā Theri. Therīgāthā 2.8. Abhayamātu Theri. Verses spoken by the Venerable Abhayamātu. Abhayā, my own son, once turned to me and exclaimed, "Mother dear, look carefully at this body and see it for what it truly is. Contemplate this by reviewing this body of yours from head to toe, perceiving it as nothing other than foul-smelling and dirty. Thus, by taking my son's advice, all lusting in me, along with passions and greed that used to dominate my heart, were removed and fully tossed out. And as a result, I now dwell totally cool and quenched, having tasted Nibbana itself." These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Abhayamātu Theri. Therīgāthā 2.9. Abhayā Theri. Verses spoken by the Venerable Abhayā. The body is so fickle and utterly unreliable, Abhayā. But see how those who are all caught up in it, being hopelessly attached to the body, because of some experiences they get to enjoy through it. I, on the other hand, will gladly discard this thing called the body, without looking back, while remaining mindful and fully aware as I do so. Despite facing so many hardships and truly challenging circumstances, the delight I experienced through my consistent and heedful diligence is what helped me every step of the way, as I, too, broke free, demolishing and tearing up tanha entirely by putting an end to it all. Thus, I now declare, complete is my holy mission, having finally fulfilled the Blessed One's teaching to me. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Abhayā Theri. Therīgāthā 2.10. Sāmā Theri. verses spoken by the Venerable Sāmā. 4 or 5 times I found myself running away from the monastery where I had come seeking shelter. This I did because the peace and tranquility I sought I could neither find nor obtain. For my heart was in perpetual unrest and kept burning with agitation, along with a mind that refused to be tamed or controlled. Only on the 8th night, though, was the craving within pulled out from her very roots. Even though many were the hardships and truly challenging circumstances faced, the delight I experienced from my consistent and heedful diligence was what helped me every step of the way, as I too totally broke free, demolishing and tearing up tanha entirely, while putting an end to it all. So now I can truly declare, complete is my noble mission indeed, for I have finally fulfilled the Blessed One's instructions to me. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Sāmā Theri. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.